I hear the call of the stars.
G'day everyone, Duckphil here. Welcome to another replay from MLG Raleigh 2011. This is going to be a set between two of the very decent showing players in this particular MLG event. Of course, many of you will be aware of our Blue Terran here, pretty much the dark horse of Raleigh. He sort of came through the open bracket and in here to the open pool, to the Pool A matches with these particular awesome players that were already seated in there. He is Complexity's TriMaster. He's everyone should be aware of him and the various things that happened at MLG on the weekend, especially regarding Hydra, of course, and the famous game and the famous missing F4 key that then turned up in the hands of TriMaster. But he's a very decent player. He's been a little bit on the horizon, I think, for some particular people have sort of predicted this guy would definitely come into the fold pretty quickly once he started getting some more games up and running and into some more competitions. He was down there at Anaheim MLG, which was a few weeks back, of course. Didn't get too far, did take a game off White Ra, I believe, but other than that, then got knocked out by White Ra, I think. And but other than that, he's been doing all right. And of course, as we mentioned here, came through the open bracket and actually got into the open pool. And unfortunately for him, this particular time, he had to face up against the mighty EGHuk, who's obviously just switched over to EG. Many players switching around at the moment with the various teams. Obviously, we've seen some foreigners go over to a couple of the Korean teams recently, and some of the Koreans come across to the foreign teams. So EG, meanwhile, has picked up Huk, and Huk, of course, has been doing a fantastic job over in Korea. Been doing quite well in the GSL. Unfortunately, just got knocked out of Code S by his opponent MVP, who did a great job. There were some interesting matches, but we won't go too far into that. But anyway, here on Metalopolis, the MLG version, of course, as you can see, the supply depot there, we've got TriMaster just scouting in here with the initial SCV, just poking in to see what's happening here. Huk recently has been really favouring some of these very heavy gas openings. As we can see here, he's going to take that second gas pretty quickly there, and he's actually been favouring a lot of play with just opening up with sentries and then going for a very quick expand off that sentry protection, which has been doing quite alright. Of course, he's won a few of these games here at Raleigh, and of course he did win many games at the GSL as well. So he's been doing that particular style, and we'll see today if he is able to pull that off and again take a quick expand. I would sort of expect that to be the plan here from Huk. He is going to get a stalker out pretty quickly just to make sure he can chase out any scouting SCVs that might hang around. As we can see, this one's just heading off to the side to make sure he doesn't get picked off straight away. Warpgate Tech is on the way as well, and yeah, I'd say this is just going to be that standard sort of opening. Meanwhile, TriMaster has just been getting a racks up. He's got the Tech Lab there, of course. We don't actually have any Tech Lab units just yet. We've only got this this Marine, which is out here defending the front. There is a Marauder, which is going to be able to push away this probe, which is not going to be able to get any more scouting information, and no annoying Huk probes for TriMaster, of course. It's one of the sort of banes of facing against Huk is if he gets one of those probes in and gets that harassment down on your mineral line, it can be quite annoying. But TriMaster, meanwhile, switched over to the factory tech there and is going to plonk that down on the Tech Lab. I would assume we're probably going to see a tank pop out of there pretty quickly. No, we're going to see some Hellions. So this is actually going to be Blue Flame Hellions from TriMaster. He does have this supply depot wall here. I'm thinking there may be a drop, or perhaps he's just going to use them as a bit of map control to use those Hellions just running around and try and snipe off units where he can, and perhaps do a little bit of a run-by into the natural mineral line. We'll see if that actually happens here. He's still scouting out with this initial SCV, which is doing a good job running around, just checking out the third, checking out to see if there are any hidden pylons or anything like that. But Huk is just sort of sitting back for the moment, using this. He's going to hit up 3 gates, expanding off the 1 gate, probably going to get a few more sentries out as well. We do have 2 sentries just sitting here on the high ground, just protecting this particular position here, and he will be able to deflect this initial Hellion. Just for the moment there, we did have a Stalker actually sitting up on top of the Zelnaga watchtower, but this guy's going to have to retreat for the moment. Scouting SCV did actually get inside, and some probes had to pick that one off, but the SCV did see a little bit of what was in there. Let's just have a quick look at what he saw. saw, did see the 3 extra gates that were up there, and of course that nexus down at the natural expansion. So he is going to be aware that this will probably be there may be a pressure, like a pressure push at a certain time, but obviously TriMaster is going to go for this Hellion drop, and as we can see here, we've got a couple of Hellions out along with the medevac just about to pop out as well, and Huk has still got his scouting probe sitting out the front. So TriMaster is going to go for a little bit of harassment, and I would assume he's going to expand off the back of these Hellions dropping into Huk's main base. But Huk with 6 sentries just sitting out here, he's going to be well protected against any sorts of bio attacks. Of course, he will be able to force field and hold out any sorts of units. As we can see here, the natural has been nicely saturated there. We can see the workers currently sitting at 33 for Huk. He's been chronoing away at that, I believe, and he's certainly got a lot of those to saturate those mineral lines. But here we can see we have the initial push here from TriMaster. He's got a couple of Marauders and a couple of Marines as well, along with a medevac just off to the side. Where are those Hellions? There they are. The Blue Flame Hellions will now come along, as well as a couple of extra units, and we can see that a Banshee is going to be on the way as well, along with Cloak. So this could be quite interesting here from TriMaster if he actually pushes at the front and then perhaps comes in the back with the Cloaked Banshee, but I don't think that's going to be out in time because this particular attack is about to commence. A Marauder just off to the side, getting a bit close to the cliff, and he is going to be able to run away, but now catching out those Hellions with those force fields, doing a nice job there, Huk, with those, and it's just brilliant to see these. He does a fantastic job every time with these sentries, but the Blue Flame Hellions getting inside the main, 2 Stalkers blocking off the path into the probes, but the probes have been roasted up anyway. This could be dangerous here. The probes have formed a line, and they are going to be roasted up there, but the attack has been relatively deflected by Huk, but he has done a decent job for the time being. An observer has scouted out that there was a Banshee produced by TriMaster and probably did see that the tech lab was spinning up. The Cloak actually got cancelled, so he's not going to continue on with that Banshee pressure at all. So he's just going to get one, perhaps gain a little map vision and control with that Banshee, but probably won't get too far given that there are a few Stalkers out. But the natural expansion up and running quite nicely here for Huk. If we have a quick look at the income tab again, we've got Huk sitting on 36 probes to the 29 SCVs of TriMaster. Huk currently sitting at around about 1,000 mineral income. But meanwhile, back at the base of TriMaster, he's definitely going to macro up quite hard here, powering up those racks. We're going to have an extra 3 racks just popping up in a moment, plus a 4th one there. So we're going to be sitting on a total of 5. Only 1 tech lab down at the moment. Of course, he may switch in and grab a couple of reactors maybe, and a couple of tech labs to make sure he can get some Marauders pumping out. But there was a Banshee attack down here to the side. This one has actually just poked around, not done too much damage. Of course, it's got 2 kills. You would presume those are from some probes. I believe they were from the probes bit here, but Huk is not going to let that Banshee do too much damage, and here come the Stalkers just to deflect it off this pylon. But taking out the Banshee, good work there by Huk. And now he's going to have a little bit of trouble here at the top of the base here with this pylon just out to the side, going to be picked off by these Marauders perhaps, but Huk coming in from 2 sides with Stalkers and this ground force up to the top here, including 1 Immortal, which is a nice inclusion there to make sure that he can deal with those Marauders when they come into the fray. But here we go, we do have 1 reactor. We've got a couple of extra tech labs there from TriMaster as well. He has put the natural expansion down and has this mining away with a lot of SCVs and a few mules that were dropped as well. But here comes an attack from Huk. He does have a few sentries here. They do have a little bit of force field there. He's got quite a few there. We'll put down the force field on the ramp. This is going to block any reinforcement units from coming down the ramp there, but he will actually stop the mining here at the natural expansion. Not going to allow any units to come down the bottom through the ramp, but these SCVs will be picked off here by these by the Zealots. And now the Marauders up the top trying to save what they can, but they are getting force fielded in and actually protecting the units down on the ground with those force fields quite well. Somehow these Zealots, they went to a weight loss clinic because somehow they slipped through those 2 force fields, and now the force fields have dissipated. Huk is going to retreat because there is just a little bit too much on the high ground there for him to deal with. But with these 2 Ravens out, he will be able to actually help out with point defense drones with these Stalkers, because of course a point defense drone, a great little addition to a Terran army when you're against a lot of Stalkers like this. And speaking of Stalkers, Blink is on the way from Huk. He's just started that up here. He is going to try and put a little bit more pressure on. I believe these 2 Ravens will help out, if TriMaster decides to push down the ramp. We do have 2 observers spotting the high ground here from EGHuk, so we can see where these units are and where they want to be, but EGHuk, I think, will have to retreat shortly, because if he's too cute with these units, he could lose a lot of these stalkers, and then the rest of these bio forces will just chew down the rest of the units there. But here he goes, puts down a force field saying you're not coming out for a little bit, and then is going to retreat. So we can see that EGHuk has done a great job of, once again, just really boosting up the probes back at home, warping in some more units and getting some more tech going as well. So he's doing a fantastic job of holding TriMaster down. Just for the moment here, perhaps going to look to expand to the 3rd base as well, down here at the 5 o'clock position, and we'll see if that probe does put one down. But the majority of the forces are going to pull back, and I believe that is a good decision, of course, because with these units here, they don't have any upgrades yet, but with the Raven support to block out the Stalkers, along with the Medevacs to give it a little bit of healing, he should be able to clean up anything that is sitting around randomly on the map. And speaking of randomly, here comes a Zealot. This guy's pretending to be a hero. He's going to go down, and he will see all of this force marching towards him, and just for the moment here, we can see the TriMaster is aware that there is that Twilight Council there, so he could be suspecting that the DTs could be coming soon, or perhaps just given EGHuk's history with Blink Stalkers, he'll probably assume that it will be Blink quite soon. And now with the 5 gates being chronoed, EGHuk will be able to get a lot of units out, using his Blink there just to try and get the Stalkers away, putting down a couple of force fields. There is 2-3 point defense drones in the mix there to block out the Stalkers. EGHuk's going to have to retreat here. He cannot attack when those 3 point defense drones are out, and TriMaster doing a fantastic job of trying to keep the battle underneath those point defense drones. Look at all these Stalkers doing absolutely nothing. They do take down the point defense drones, but the battle has essentially been a bit of a stalemate for the moment here. TriMaster will have to be careful though. With no more point defense drones, he could run into a little bit of trouble, given that these Stalkers will now be able to come into effect and actually targeting down those units in the sky there. Those Stalkers doing a fantastic job, but they will take a little bit of damage. As we can see, the bio forces are going to have to retreat, but some of those Stalkers are quite low in health as well. But now, with TriMaster having to retreat, he's going to lose perhaps a few more of these units. EGHuk deciding to blink up on top, but now with some reinforcements coming from TriMaster's base, he's going to be able to push back against these Stalkers with no blink, because they just used it. They will take a few hits, and finally they do get a blink up. This Immortal may go down. As we can see here, the concussion grenade slowing that guy down. You can see stationary objects moving faster than that Immortal, but now with these forces just sort of getting a little bit low again, as we can see, a lot of these Marauders and the Medevacs are getting, the Marauders and Marines are getting a bit low there, but the Stalkers are going to try and catch up and do what damage they can, as we can see here. But meanwhile, TriMaster has gotten up a 3rd base. He's got a couple more units just building up here. He is going to lose a few more just off to the side there, but the Medevacs are now getting into a decent count, and they will be able to help out by repairing all of those, by healing, all of those units. But we can see EGHuk's taken this 3rd base under the cover of all of that, getting the 2 assimilators there, so he probably will switch into something pretty high gas intensity, and as we can see, he is actually getting Storm Tech, so it is definitely going to be some interesting gas units coming out here from EGHuk. He does have a couple more gates that have just warped in. We've got a few Templar here. They don't have energy for Storm just yet, not to mention Storm's just still researching at the moment, but a drop commencing inside the main of EGHuk. A few of these Marauders are going to jump in and probably stim up and take out a few of the pylons if they can. They can probably take down a couple of these pylons, and then actually really make EGHuk struggle to reinforce what he can. But it looks as if EGHuk's going to try and deflect this as best as he can. Makes those Marauders just jump back into the Medevac, and in fact will lose one of the Medevacs. Losing one of the Medevacs, and down here at the 3rd base, TriMaster doing a great job of multi-pronged attacks here, taking out what he can at the 3rd base. He's going to try and take the Nexus, going to maybe sacrifice some of these units to get it down, and I think he will get it down. These Marauders don't have any upgrades, but that Nexus doesn't have any upgrades either, and that one will go down, and going to probably try and retreat with these Medevacs if he can. Snipes off one of the Medevacs, and the probes will have to rebuild that Nexus, but one of them, the Medevacs, does escape with a few more units inside, and now, and again, another multi-pronged attack here from TriMaster, stimming through. He's going to try and take out this pylon, which he did damage a little bit earlier with that Banshee. He's going to take that one out and probably retreat, I would assume. Puts EGHuk in the red. He's now at 140 over 132. So EGHuk's going to be in a little bit of trouble. Actually, going to take out this other pylon as well. That actually really puts EGHuk down quite a lot lower than he would really want to be, but the Medevac is taken out due to some of those Blink Stalkers being utilized quite well there by HUK. Marauders again trying to come into the natural expansion, doing what he can to put some pressure on HUK and make sure he is not pushing out on the map, because while all this has been going on, TriMaster has been really bolstering his forces, adding in Ghosts to the mix. We've got, where's the Ghost Academy? It's up somewhere. I don't know, but the Ghost Academy is out, and +1 weapons is finally on the way. I feel that's a little bit late for TriMaster, but he knows best, of course. He's the one over there, not me. But either way, HUK is now going to push through the middle of the map here. He's just checked out the Xel'Naga Watchtower to find out what is going on, and now has a lot of Zealots and a really, really decent army here. Currently sitting at 158 supply to the 126 of TriMaster. TriMaster's going to have to be very, very good with his engagement here, along with these storms that are going to be used by these Templar. Actually, beautiful EMPs, takes out the energy on all but one of those Templar, and now those will have to switch into the Archons. And now just beautiful positioning there by TriMaster. He's going to wall himself up, hold himself up against that little crevice there, and he's now going to be able to take out a lot of these units before they get into an engagement position. And with those Templar just automatically removed from the mix there, that was just beautiful work by TriMaster. And now we will be able to hold up for the moment here. These Ghosts still do have a little bit of energy left over, so they will be able to put down, I believe one of them has some energy. Either way, there we go, there's the one. And he is going to be able to deflect any more of HUK's attacks for the moment here. But just as we can see here, TriMaster with that third base, the Mules have just departed because they had their timeout. And now we're going to see TriMaster actually try and push in through the middle here. HUK with 2 observers out just to make sure he's got really good vision on the map. And in fact, some Marauders have been coming down to the bottom side here. They are going to be taken out by all of those forces that were just pushing across there. The medevac taken out. The rest of these forces will get destroyed, and there they go. So TriMaster again attempting some more drops and some more harassment play on his Protoss opponent. Meanwhile, we can see that HUK is getting his +1 to both weapons and armor up and running here. He's probably going to want to chrono those out as fast as he can. There you go. And he is going to chrono them. It looks as if TriMaster is trying to move through the top side of the map here with a lot of medevacs to help out healing all of those units there. Almost said repairing again. Perhaps we can make them robot units, but I think we've got too many robots here on the field for HUK already. But HUK now moving towards this 4th base here. Going to try and get this one up. I think TriMaster is aware that that is just on the way. No, he's not just yet. But TriMaster himself is also going to get another command center here. We've got another 4 racks down here at the natural expansion here, along with the armory, and a 2nd engineering bay will be up soon. So he's really going to power away at those upgrades here. A little bit surprised he's not working on some of these racks at the moment here, but he does have to contend with this large force that is in the middle here for HUK. He's got some Archons, he's got some Templar, some failed EMPs there, unfortunately, for TriMaster, but he will see, he actually gets some more off. Beautiful engagement there by TriMaster again. He does get some good EMPs off, and as we can see, he is going to have to retreat regardless, though, because there are just so many Zealots on the ground here. These medevacs having to pick up every single unit they can, leaving some of those guys on the ground. It's like an episode of, it's like that movie Saving Private Ryan, but they will escape for the time being, and these units of HUK are going to be quite something to contend with for TriMaster. He's going to have to deal with a lot of Zealots on the ground. He's got some Immortals in the mix, along with those extra Archons, which can tank and do some damage as well, but these guys getting a little bit gung-ho, trying to push into that command center, not going to be able to do it, but a little bit of a distraction perhaps. And now with this attack up at the 3rd base, HUK is going to just make sure that that one is not mining for the moment. Meanwhile, HUK just moving some of his probes over to his own 4th base, and now some more units just going to be reinforcing there for HUK. +2 to weapons and armor is on the way, and an engagement here up at the top side here. The Immortals really helping out with their extra damage to those the Marauders, and now the medevacs are going to have to escape again, taking out some of these units. Got Ghosts up in the medevac there. If he's got to be very, very careful, if he loses those Ghosts, this could be game over straight away. We've got some more Ghost reinforcing here for TriMaster. He's going to have to perhaps just to be a little bit careful with what he's got at the moment. He's currently sitting at 121 supply to the 166 of HUK, and now TriMaster is going to attempt to fly this command center over to the gold base. I'm not really sure how well this is going to go down, given that there is this force just camping out here at the moment, but they are going to have to retreat to take out this Marauder if they want to keep the Xel'Naga Watchtower. But some storms going down there. They actually caught out some of those Ghosts and some of the other units there for TriMaster. In fact, now more units coming down from the side. Going to have to be very careful there. Ghosts walking into that storm. They do not have an umbrella, so they're going to take some damage. And there goes TriMaster. He's going to have to walk back for the the moment here. This command center being very, very risky there, landing at the gold base. Going to have to retreat. There is a snow globe shining its flashlight at that one, but he is going to get it down, so he is going to need to switch this into the planetary fortress and then perhaps actually be able to secure this gold base. But Huk, meanwhile, doing a fantastic job with his own macro, pushing up to this 5th base here, going to take this one and then just kick into a massive macro mode. As we can see here, building up a couple more gates. We got a Robo Bay on the way, and along with some more pylons, we got some cannons here for protection of this base, just in case TriMaster tries to drop. And just really powering away with his economy here. We'll have a quick look at the Harvester tab. We've got Huk way in the lead here at 75 probes to the 56 of TriMaster. TriMaster has obviously had a little bit of trouble with the economy just until now, but once this gold base is up and running and a couple of turrets are there to defend, he should be quite fine and should be able to resupply all of his forces there. TriMaster, meanwhile, just building up the advancements in his tech there, getting +2 to armor. He's got +2 to weapons on the way as well. The Ghost Academy does have no nuke just yet, but just again, these Stalkers doing some nice harassment here for Huk. He's just pushing inside, trying to take out what he can. Gonna have to be very careful of that planetary fortress, of course. Cannot take that out with Stalkers at all, especially when there are some of these SCVs repairing here. This missile turret has been neglected until now. There we go, finally getting that missile turret up and running so he can be protected against any observers or perhaps void rays, which we may see a shift into. I know Huk does have that. He does have that Robo, so he is actually going to switch into double Robo Colossus. So do not be surprised if we start seeing around about probably something like 4 to 5, maybe even 6 Colossus getting out on the map quite soon here for Huk. He is actually maxed out at the moment, so if he does want to switch into that tech, he's going to need to use some of these Zealots up. I would assume he wants to use those up perhaps, but we'll see what happens. We've got a Warp Prism here from Huk. You cannot see it, it's actually inside the head of that Colossus, but inside the Warp Prism are some Templar. This is actually a very cool strategy which a lot of the pros have started to use now. A lot of the Protoss, I suppose you could say, have started using that particular tactic now. It's a very good way to keep your Templar out of danger, namely from EMP, of course. And of course, this was something which was used for a while back in Brood War as well. You put your units in a shuttle and then keep them out of danger. In fact, that Warp Prism almost dying to those 2 hits of the turret there. The turret, interestingly placed by TriMaster, catching out that Warp Prism. But now, look at all of these ghosts. We have a huge mix of ghosts here for TriMaster. He's going to have to be very careful, though. There is a lot of ground forces there from Huk. Puts down some EMPs. The storms coming in from the back. Beautiful work there by Huk, dropping in the Templar down the backside of that particular battle there, and actually putting down some storms all over the top of those units there. Huk did actually do a decent amount of damage, but this is, I suppose you could say, this is a relatively even exchange here, because Huk is going to lose a lot of his ground forces there, and now is going to have to resupply. TriMaster, meanwhile, is going to load up that medevac, perhaps going to go for a drop down in the main of Huk, but with a couple of cannons there, he should be okay. Not to mention these double robos pumping away here. One of them's actually just getting a Warp Prism out, so he is going to try and lift up some of these Templar to get them back into the battle again, and see if he can do some more Templar drops there. But here come those Marauders. They are a little bit hurt there, but they do have some stim and a medevac, so they should be okay. One of the Marauders actually just about to go down to that cannon. There it goes, and a couple of Zealots will be able to fend off this attack along with a few Stalkers, and there it goes. So goodbye to that particular drop there. Nice attempt there by TriMaster, though. The +3 to weapons is just about done. The +3 to armor is already done for Huk, and now he has +2 to shields on the way. Not often you see +3 shields in a PvT, but obviously this one has been going for quite a while, and we'll see if Huk can get up to +3. We'll have to give him a medal for that one. But now we're just looking at the mineral income for these guys. The 3rd base for Huk is just about done. It's got a little bit left over. 4th is, of course, going nicely. The 5th is also doing quite nicely, and the gold base is also on the way for Huk. So he's sitting quite nicely here at the moment here. The 3rd of TriMaster is all but gone. A couple of patches left over there, and the 4th is still up and running quite nicely. But as we can see, Huk is deciding to put some pressure on. He is maxed out, of course. Again, he does have a few more units. He's got some Zealots down here on the ground. Not sure what their plan is, but they are not going to be able to help out this Colossus, which is attempting to run away from these Vikings, and the Stalkers just don't care. They are angry with those Colossus, and here comes that Warp Prism in the back. Will Huk be able to pull out some special tactics? He does indeed, dropping down those Templar, putting down some storms, not actually getting too much done, but he will be able to warp in some more units here, which is an interesting part of having that Warp Prism there. putting some more storms down, deflecting some of these attacks, and now we're going to see this Zealot push here coming into the gold base here of TriMaster. Those ghosts are doing a wonderful job of actually just taking out all of those shields there on those Zealots, and he is going to push them back, so the gold base will stay alive for the moment here. Just a bit cautious about this fourth base. The Templar are going to help hold out these bio forces, and in fact ripping apart all of those bio units there. 2 storms going down, doing a lot of damage, and now another attack down here to the side. A lot of ghosts in the mix here, trying to snipe out what he can, but there are just so many Zealots here with their 3-2-3 on their upgrades. They are doing a magnificent job, just absolutely tearing apart all of those forces of TriMaster. And I would say, given the current situation of the game, we've got reinforcement proxy pylons here at that 5th base of TriMaster, or the attempted 5th base, and that is we are probably going to get to the end of this game in just a moment here. We'll see what TriMaster has. He's got to deal with a couple of Colossus here at the gold base. They are just powering away at that planetary fortress. They're not going to be able to kill it just yet. There is a lot of damage coming in, but here come the reinforcement Zealots, and I would say that is about to be it. Some awesome EMPs again from TriMaster, doing a fantastic job, but I think the damage has been done. He is now not mining from anywhere. He's just got the 3rd base actually, still has a couple of patches left over, but the supply currently sitting at 182 to 94 for Huk. He has just done a fantastic job of holding out this game, just controlling the map and just doing a fantastic job with his macro, taking the 4th and the 5th bases in beautiful time, and just really pushing up with all of these ground forces, not to mention those upgrades. And just as some of you probably can see, we actually do have +3 to the shields on the way, but I would say that's probably not going to get done in time. It takes a long time to get that done, I realized today when I was playing a game, but here come the rest of the reinforcements here from Huk. He's got a few more Zealots, and there is the GG. So that is going to be it for TriMaster in this game. Huk takes the lead 1-0 in this particular matchup. It is a best of 3, so we will go into a game 2, and we'll see if TriMaster can pull out a win and take it to a 3rd game, or if Huk can take game number 2 and pull ahead in this particular pool play. Cheers.